You're listening to the Project Ignite podcast,
where real digital entrepreneurs reveal their very best tips, tools, and strategies to help you ignite and grow your online business.
ProjectIgnite.com. Your digital business starts here.
Now, here's your host, Derek Gale.
Welcome to the Project Ignite podcast, a podcast designed to skip the hype, skip all the BS, and bring you real actionable tips and strategies to help you grow your online business. This is your host, Derek Gale, and today we're going to be discussing a very powerful but often overlooked way to build your brand, build your business. And I'm talking about podcasting, but I'm not talking about starting a podcast this time. I'm talking about getting booked on other people's podcasts and, instantly plugging into other people's established audiences. And to share some valuable tips and strategies to getting you booked on podcasts, I'd like to welcome international best-selling author, speaker, and author of Podcast Power, the Zipping It Up Guide to Land Podcast and Radio Interviews Fast. Irene Gabelnick, I'd like to welcome you to our show.
Thank you so much, Derek. How you doing? I'm so excited to be here.
Awesome. And so before we get started, actually, just give us a little bit about yourself, your journey. You're an author, you've done a lot of stuff. Give us your background and how we got to be here today talking about podcasting.
Oh gosh. Well, I think I was a writer from the day I started, picked up a pen or pencil. But that wasn't my path. I actually started out in sales just after college. I go all the way back to what I call my real life madman days when I worked at a radio station. I was a marketing consultant. So I've been, in sales and marketing for over 27 years. Before I transitioned into my writing career and speaking, I was actually a realtor for 9 years, but something happened and my sister passed away of breast cancer. And it took me about a year after she died before I mustered up the courage to finally go through some of her things. So I was sitting on the floor, in her attic, just going through boxes and boxes of books. And what I found was not one, not two, but more than 10 books on how to write a book, how to be a writer. And I didn't even know she wanted to write a book. And I had always wanted to write a book too. So that was really, it really changed, my perspective. I thought life is short. She had a message. She was only 46 when she died, and I'll never know what that message was. So that was it. I Googled how to be a writer, and I joined the prestigious AWAI. I became a copywriter, and finally, maybe a year or so later, I started my blog. I wrote my first book, and it just kind of all took off from there.
And what was your first book?
My first book is called Zipping It Up. Oh, do I have a copy right here? Oh, I do not. My bad. Zipping It Up, How to Lose 5 Pounds Fast and Look Great in That Little Black Dress. So it was a weight loss book. Okay,
interesting. Okay, and so why did you go the AWAI route? Because that's not necessarily writing a book. That would play to your marketing and sales background.
Yeah.
But what attracted you to that?
Well, they're good, Derek. They're good. They're copywriters. They sucked me in. I bought their course, their first course. Then I bought, how to build your own money-making website course. And now I actually teach that. And it just kind of snowballed from there, web writing. And, I guess, I first kind of, repelled it because I don't want to be in sales anymore. I want to be a writer. Mm-hmm. But the combination of writing and sales, wow, it's meant for me. Copywriting is
sure.
Just the love of persuasive writing that sells. So, and it helps in everything you do.
Yes, it does. And just for our listeners, AWAI is the American Writers and Artists Institute, and they are kind of the de facto place to go to learn direct response ad copy. I've hired many copywriters over the years, and I always look if they've been trained by AWAI, because it is such good training. But and this is totally a little bit off topic, but I find that fascinating that you took that route to copywriting, and you say that it plays a role in everything, and it so does. And I cannot emphasize that enough for people, because I'm always like, guys, if you can even, you don't have to be a copywriter, but if you can learn the fundamentals of ad copy, you understand how to persuade people at a far deeper level that's going to affect you in every point in your business. Whether that, because I mean, when you think about everything we do online is through, a lot of it's through written communication. And
absolutely, Derek. Everything, even your podcast, the way you're speaking now. It's all copy, and it's your. I can tell that you're proficient in copywriting, because and even if you don't do your own copywriting, like you said, you hire a copywriter, you still have to know when you hire someone if they're writing good copy.
Yeah.
So, everyone in business should definitely, get a little 101 on copywriting. But while we're on the subject, can I share a prized possession with you?
Yeah, for sure.
So I must be familiar with the late, great Gary Halbert.
Absolutely.
And who's not, right?
The godfather of copywriting.
Oh my God, I'm such
he was so good at it, he ended up in jail.
I know. Well, but he was innocent.
Yeah.
But The Boron Letters is one of my favorite books. And then Bond, I'm in one of his, probably two of his Facebook groups, I think. And he had a competition, and he was giving away one of the original Boron Letters book.
Oh, wow.
And it's like something happened where they were destroyed and the cover was torn, but you can see Gary Halbert's name there, and it's signed. Congrats and good luck, Bond.
Cool.
Oh my God.
I mean, I other Boron Letters, but I paid like a few $100 for it.
Yeah, well, I have the book, the paperback, from Amazon, but it's got coffee spills on it. I've read it so many times.
Yeah.
I have 2 damaged copies, but this one's like pristine.
That's
just
amazing.
The cover with it is like original crossouts.
Oh, look at that. Yeah.
Freaking cool. Yeah. I know.
That's only in the direct response world. We're like, oh, that's so
cool. We're just like, it's so cool. Like, I know.
What? Who?
I know. You don't know where this conversation was going to go. I didn't see that coming, but I'll keep it on you.
Awesome. And speaking of Bond, I met him for the first time a year or 2 years ago. He was actually up here. We're both speaking at the same mastermind group here in Vancouver. Nice. And he's written a book that I think, even if you're not going to be a copywriter, but you're going to do business online, everybody should read. And that's how to edit copy. And I don't know if have you read Bond's book on how to edit?
I have not yet. No. He's
written a book on how to edit ad copy. And it is fantastic because it's just very practical, replace this word with this, do this, do that. Like, it's a fantastic tool for the people who don't want to be copywriters, but are hiring copywriters. I think even if you read this book, it's a great way to get a foundation of, is this good? Is it not? Kind of ad copy stuff. So,
thanks, Derek. I will definitely grab that.
Yeah. Absolutely. Wow. So, anyway, so that was a rabbit hole I didn't expect us to go down, but we did.
Well, we were talking about email, we were planning to talk about how podcasts can build your email list, and it all boils down to copy. It's like, I'm just getting ready to launch an email marketing newsletter, and people have been bugging me to start teaching a copywriting course. And so it's been on my to-do list, and it's like, it's just time,
so I hear you. Time is the one we all struggle with. Okay. So everybody who's listening, you've heard me say it before. I'll say it again. Study some ad copy. If you want to be a copywriter, AWAI is a great place to start. And for those of you who are thinking, I'm on social media, I just do videos and stuff like that. All of my video scripts are based on ad copy. And everything I do when I'm talking, when I'm speaking from stage, when I'm selling, is based on ad copy. In fact, I'll tell you, Irene, I'll tell you a funny story. So probably about, oh my God, I'm aging myself here, but it must've been about 12, 13 years ago. I was speaking at the Early to Rise conference, and Early to Rise and Michael Masterson. It's been sold since, but it was owned by Michael Masterson, who also created AWAI and the whole Agora network.
You're right. Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so I was speaking at it, and I did my presentation, and I sold a product from stage, and did really well. And Michael Masterson, who's actually John Ford, hadn't seen a lot of people. They were more direct response. They hadn't seen somebody sell from stage. So later on that day, he was doing a talk to one of the copywriting groups, and he called me a walking sales letter, because it was my pitch was literally a direct response sales letter, but verbally, right? So whenever somebody,
on stage.
But on stage. So that's why when somebody says, well, I do it all video, I'm like, good, learn copywriting and then follow that structure in your delivery, and you're going to do so much better.
Exactly.
All right.
Yeah, exactly. It's your copywriting skills that got it. Well, like I said, I think by the time this is aired, I'm gonna have a copywriting course available too. And my newsletter is done. The first issue of my email marketing copywriting newsletter, my secret sauce for emails that sell. So, this is perfect timing. So I think it's just like really just perfect timing.
Yeah, it's funny how the universe just sort of puts things in the right places at the right time sometimes. Okay?
I know. And I mean, and it goes with getting on podcasts too, because, I sent you an email, and I wrote copy. I mean, I directed it toward your audience with very specific bullet points on how, why you should interview me, because how I can help your listeners. I mean, it's not about you. So when you're pitching podcasts and you want to grow your business and grow your email list by going on podcasts like we're doing now, you really want your topic to help your audience. And so it's all goes back to copy.
Yeah. Let's go down. I mean, this is what we're supposed to be talking about. So let's go down this rabbit hole. And just to preface this, I get hit up daily with requests to be on my podcast, and probably 90% of them just go in the trash bin, right? But here we are, and you're on the podcast. So you did something that worked, and that's what I want to get into. But before we do, let's talk about, podcasts as a whole. What attracted you to podcasts as a mechanism for growing your business?
Well, I knew that to get to get more exposure, to build my brand, to be known as the expert, there's no better way than having someone else. It's like borrowing someone else's audience. So your listeners know, like, and trust you. They don't know who I am, but now that I'm on your show, they're like, oh, if Derek, like you said, 90% of the requests got, swept away. So they know that instantly, because you are recommending me and my products, that know, like, and trust factor is just like, wow, so I'm already going to a warm audience. And I just knew that it was what I needed to do. So when I first started trying to get on podcasts, like I would get on anything, like they weren't even like targeted towards my audience. People weren't buying my stuff, but I was just like, I knew that, just to get on a couple, get out there. Sure. I mean, believe me, I can maneuver my pitch to get on any show. Like,
and good copywriter should be able to.
Exactly. And I can just kind of shift, like, here's a good example. So when I started my health and fitness blog, I went on a podcast for, I think it was like 50 and over. It was like an elderly audience. And so I shifted my pitch and my bullet points to target his audience and how I could help them. Mm-hmm. So I teach you this in Podcast Power. I actually give you 5 templates and a blank, fill in the blank. I tell you exactly how to do it, how to write your pitch. And then I tell you about the number one website that I still use, a secret website to getting on podcasts. And Derek, it's how I found you. And I'm going to share it with your audience, which is radioguestlist.com.
Okay, radio guest.
Yeah.
Excellent.
So you put up
Yep.
like a post there, and I saw it, and I looked and I said, oh, this is a perfect fit for my audience, and I can teach something to his audience. So that was why I chose you.
Excellent. Now, okay, so and this is where I want to get into the nitty gritty, because I'm on Matchmaker FM, I'm on Radio Guest List, I'm on a few of these ones,
Okay.
and probably, like I said, 90+% of the pitches I get, I reject. So let's actually talk about mistakes first. What do you see the mistakes most people making who are trying to get on podcast?
Well, what I hear, since I don't have my own podcast yet, it's coming. I mean, I have like a little one where I just talk, but I really haven't started interviewing yet. But I go on a lot of these, a real lot of them. So what I hear back from the hosts is that people will just say, hey, I'm so-and-so, this is what I do, can I be on your show?
Yes.
Next. So the biggest mistakes is people are pitching themselves first. And I hate to tell you this, guys. I mean, we love you, and everything, but nobody cares. No one cares about you. How can you help me? I mean, when someone is listening, they're looking for the benefit, and how is this going to benefit me? Why am I going to take my time to listen to this? And what benefit am I going to get out of that? So you really have to start with, a segment idea that is attractive to the podcast listener. So what benefit are you selling? And I can't remember exactly what I sent to you, but I think that our subject was building your email list with podcasts. So someone listening to this, and I tell them, okay, well, right now, if you go to my website and I have a free guide, 10 easy steps to start writing your book today. So now everyone listening, they're like, oh yeah, I want to write a book. And why would you want to write a book? Well, it's another way to build your brand. And after I wrote my first book, it became so ridiculously easy to get on shows like this. I mean, I started like overbooking myself where I was exhausted, where I said, okay, no, only 3 a week. I mean, it was too much. Radio shows, TV. People see that you've written a book and they think, wow, this person really knows their stuff. They can read it. They see that you really are an expert. So podcast hosts know that too. And they see that and they're like, wow, she wrote a book on this topic. Like, I wrote a book on podcast power because I am an expert on getting on podcasts. It's what I do. And so it really helps get your foot in the door so much faster and so much easier when you are a published author.
And that's an important message, I think, guys. And so I'm going to take it from the perspective of I'm the one who's getting pitched all the time. And you were smack on. The number one issue I get is people say, I'm so-and-so, I'm a social media marketing expert, and I'd love to be on your show. I think I can bring very great value to your guests. I'm like, great, you and the other 100 social media marketing experts.
Now, what does it mean, value?
Yeah,
what value?
Exactly.
Tell me, what are you going to talk about?
Exactly. All I hear is you want to get in front of my audience so you can build your audience, which I have no issue with, as long as you're bringing value to me. So the things that I'm looking for, first of all, is right out of the gate. And this is what you did really well. And exactly what you just said you do is you have a custom pitch of what is the benefit, what is the thing that you're going to teach to their audience. What value do you bring? And so I guess my feedback to people is be as specific as possible, because there's nothing harder as the host of a podcast having to figure out where something is going and what it is we're supposed to be talking about, or we have a limited amount of time, whether that's 30 to 45 minutes. We can't talk about social media. We can't talk about some big general topic. What is the very specific thing that we're going to hone in on that's going to bring value to my audience? And you had a very, very clear using podcast to build email lists. Great. Love it. My audience will love that. Super duper clear. As opposed to the guy who's like, I like podcasting. Well, great. What does that tell me? So, I think being super specific and having a clear, concise, short, please be short, pitch is key.
Exactly.
Is key. And
You don't
I'm
have
pretty
time
sure
to read a 1,000-word email, right?
And I could see you're a copywriter as well, because you're bullet points, right? Bang, 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 right? It's written. Guys, ad copy, learn it. You'll get booked on more shows just knowing how to sell yourself better. But the other thing that I think I really want to highlight that you said there that I think super key is credibility, right? So after someone gets my attention and says, oh, that's interesting, what's the first thing I do? I go out and I'm going to look around and see who they are and what they've done. And to your point, when somebody's written a book, that immediately gives them a new level of credibility, even if only one person bought the book.
Exactly.
It-
Yeah.
you
I
know?
mean, it doesn't matter. I mean, it's something that takes time and
Mhm.
dedication to
Yeah.
do. I mean, it's not that easy. It's simple, but it's not easy. And it takes time. It takes research. It takes the writing. It takes
Mhm.
time putting it together, deciding, whether you're going to publish or self-publish. I mean, there's really a lot involved in it. And I did it all myself. And that's why it's one of the reasons I teach it now, because it's just, money versus time.
Mhm.
I've been through the drill. I've written over a dozen books. I honestly haven't, different genres, different,
Yeah.
I use a pseudonym for some because it's, completely different area.
Mhm.
And, some I sell just directly on my website, like Podcast Power. I'm thinking about publishing it now that Seth Green wrote the foreword. I'm thinking about maybe putting it on Amazon, or I'm not really sure, but it's selling on my website. So, and I just promote it, through, social media and through, interviews like this. I'll throw it on half off, shoot an email out to my list, and it's selling, and I kind of like where it is. And, it's an ebook, and it has, actual templates that you can use. And I mean, I give it all away in this little ebook. I mean, I give it all away, Derek. I mean, I tell them exactly. And, when I give it to someone, even interns, I gave it to my friend's intern, and she's like, oh my God, I got her booked on 4 shows in 1 week. I mean, it works.
For sure.
It really, really works. And it sure helps you guys, the podcast hosts, because if more people who know how to pitch you and can hone down their segment idea and their bullet points and how they can help your audience, it's going to help you get, a potentially really great guest who just didn't know how to write the email to send to you.
Exactly.
So it's a win-win.
Exactly. And, for all those people thinking like, oh, writing a book sounds hard. And you're right. It is an investment of time. And if you're not a writer, it's even harder, but there's ways around that as well.
Absolutely. You don't have to be a writer to write a book.
Yeah. But keep in mind that as well, you don't have to write a 500-page novel either, right? If you wrote a 30 or 40-page book that delivered something specific, something people can sink their teeth into and use, great. Like you said, put some templates in, some stuff like that's what people want now. They don't want to have, I mean, honestly, so many books that I read in business now, I'm like, man, they could have said that in like a quarter of the
I know
the words.
They repeat stuff, and it's like because they want to make it longer. And I can see if maybe try and get it up to 100 pages to get the spine, the title on the spine. But my first book was 41 pages, and it packs a powerful punch. I have women tell me I lost, I dropped 2 dress sizes in 6 weeks. I lost 8 pounds. Oh my God, your recipes are delicious. It doesn't matter. Podcast Power, 18 pages. But you know what? It gets results. So your book does not have to be some crazy long book. It can just be, and honestly, there are services done for you. I could do a book for somebody, really easily. It's not something I'm offering at this time, but it's something that I could certainly do. And it's not as daunting as you might think. And if you do download my 10-step checklist, I'm telling you, if you just do those 10 easy steps, you'll be like, wow, I can really do this. And it just alleviates that daunting feeling of, write a book. So, there are ways to do everything. It's just like you said, it's why we join mastermind groups. It's why we take courses. It's time versus money.
Yep. Absolutely. 100%. So, okay. So now, all right. So credibility is key. Book is one of the fastest ways to do that. It packs a punch. But anything I think people can do to build credibility, here's what I tell people, like, if somebody searches your name, what are they going to find? And I think that's so key right now, because most podcast hosts, that's exactly what I do. I'm like, search their name. What do I find?
Exactly. And it's like, oh, she popped up on this show. Oh, she was on AM Buffalo. Oh, she was in Business First. Oh, cool. Or, you'll see her books, or you'll see this, or a post or an article on Medium or Easy. And I mean, anything, the more stuff that you put out there, absolutely, it really, really builds your credibility. So, you Google someone and like nothing pops up, you're like, okay, I don't know who this person is. But when you Google someone and you got all these things popping up and all these shows they've been on, you think, oh, if they're good enough for that, then hey, or even just getting the credibility to have someone, write the foreword for your book, or to write a review for your book. It really, really goes a long way.
110%. And I mean, it's interesting having somebody write a foreword for your book goes back to really what you were talking about earlier, is when you're on a podcast, they're lending credibility. And
absolutely,
that's exactly what the foreword is doing in a book as well. And
but it has to be good. You can't just ask someone to, they won't do it they'll read it. I mean, he has to actually
deliver something.
Has to be good quality. Yeah.
Sure.
And also, that's a good point. And I'd like to share this with your audience too. You can't just flat out go out and ask someone, hey, can you do this for me? You want to do something for them too. I mean, this is something that Russell Brunson teaches, Tony Robbins, teaches, and, you do something for them. And there isn't a single person out there. People think, well, what could I do for this famous person or this influencer? Every single person needs something, and every book review helps. So, write a review for one of their books that you love, write a review for their podcast, share their posts on social media. You're following this person, share it, comment, share it with your email list, tell them about it. And so do something, or connections. Connections, say, if someone, if they're looking maybe to interview someone, or, offer to connect them with someone who can help them, and then they'll remember you. I'll often see a podcast interview that's not perfect for me, but, I know a lot of realtors. So if I see one for realtors, I'll think of a friend and say, hey, I think this is perfect for you. I know that the podcast host, make the introduction.
Yeah.
So it's a great way to help someone, and then they'll remember you. So then after you've helped them, then you can reach out and say, hey, would you mind, reading my book? Would you give it a review, or, or would you write the foreword? And then they're, much more likely to say yes.
Sure. Well, I mean, it's one of the 7 principles in Robert Cialdini's, Influence and Persuasion, right? Law of reciprocity, yes. Right? Like, I mean, that's key. And starting off, it's a fantastic way to start off. And I don't think enough people do that. I mean, too many people are just shotgunning out there going, gimme, 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 gimme. And they're not starting off with, what can I do for you? And
exactly.
Yeah,
exactly. I think, and Selena Sue teaches it too. She just started out by just, doing things for other people. I'm actually an affiliate for her, Impacting Millions, and, love her too. And just, you really, I'm just attracted to the people who are always giving and always helping. And I just, great, wonderful connections to make. So
okay. So when you're out there looking for podcasts, how do you choose the podcasts that you want to pitch and to be part of?
Well, I mean, it really depends on what I'm promoting at the time. So, and most of my products and books now are all, for entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
So I target specific podcasts where, their audience are business owners, and they're looking to grow their business and scale their business. So, if I'm promoting my weight loss book, then I want to, well, even then I target business owners, but with, healthy eating for the busy entrepreneur, because I want to grab the entrepreneurs onto my email list, because those are what my other products are related to. So you really want to look at, your audience, what you, what do you serve? What do you are, are you a coach or a, what products and services do you offer, and who is your ideal customer? You want to find a podcast that has the same audience, because it's not going to help you if you're, if you're selling, weight loss, and now you're pitching to, I'm trying to think of a good example, a dentist podcast, right? I mean, it's, you want something related. So,
And so when you're pitching so here's the latest thing, because there's companies obviously that you can hire that'll go out and pitch you on podcasts. Actually, let me ask, do you use any of those, or do you do it all yourself?
I haven't yet. I actually, I did actually use a PR person who's just kind of a friend, colleague, and she needed a testimonial and said, "Hey, I'll get you on a show if you'll do a testimonial for me." So it's kind of a swap. And I said, "Yeah." And she got me booked on a TV show, like, bam.
Wow.
So, it's again, it's time versus money. Do you want to do it yourself? You
Yeah.
can have your VA do it. You can hire an intern to do it, or you can do it yourself. I do most of mine myself right now, and I kind of enjoy it. And for me, it's just simple and easy. But I kind of do it the lazy way. I mean, I subscribe to Radio Guest List and a few others. I've got there's one that's like a text message that I get every time they need a podcast guest for a certain type of show. So I'm like, oh, that one's perfect for me. And I just email back and boom, I get on the show. Or I see it and I go, oh, no, I'm not good for that, but so-and-so is perfect for that podcast. Or other authors who I've helped get published, or friends and colleagues. If I see something on radioguestlist.com, then I'll forward the email to them and say, hey, this is perfect for you. And they're like, great, thanks. So there are ways to do it where you don't really, and then honestly, once you start going on them, like, they start coming to you.
Yeah.
So, and even after you write your first book, I helped a life coach publish her first book. And I mean, within a few days of being published, podcast hosts were reaching out to her and asking to interview her. So it can happen that quickly.
Yeah. Yeah, no, absolutely it can. And I think it's one of the things, once you gain some momentum, it gets easier and easier. The first few are the hardest after that. Now, when you're reaching out, so you say you do it the lazy way, I would call it the efficient way, right? You're just using
better terminology. Yeah. I'm not lazy, that's for sure.
No, and it is the efficient way. And again, one of the things I want to throw out there to people who are listening, and this is the other mistake, is using a canned message. And so the latest thing that I'm seeing is I get a canned, I think so-and-so would be, or I think I'd be great for your show, blah, blah, blah. And in the first paragraph, they'll always put, I just listened to this episode and I liked what they said about blah. Okay. And so they listen to any episode and then they make some generalized statement about that episode. And then they go into a completely canned pitch. And honestly, for anybody who's doing that, it sounds canned. I'm like, you're not really interested. You literally clicked play on one podcast episode, listened for a sound bite, threw it into the first, and okay, given maybe did a little more work than the guy that just sent out his canned message. But
right,
that does not work as well, if it works at all, as with what you did, which was saying, okay, here's your audience. Here's what I can do for your audience. I don't really care what episode you listen to of my podcast. That means nothing to me. What I care about is what you can do for my audience. And that's where we have to be super, super duper clear. Okay. So last topic as we move through this now is to talk about, how do you monetize these podcast interviews? How do you get value out of them? How are you, in particular, building your list? What are your strategies?
you have to offer something of value. So if, anything out there, and I just went through recently the Stage to Scale program with Pete Vargas.
Mhm.
And I love this because he says, gold mining with podcasts, but you really want to share an open heart story. You want to connect with the listener, which is one of the reasons, and it's a true story, why I told you about my sister, Natalie. And, it makes you realize that, uh, yeah, of all this time, but do we? I mean, we just don't know. I mean, Natalie was 46 when she died. 46. She had a message, and it's too late for her. I'll never, ever, ever know what that message was. So if you have a message, share that message, share it on your interviews, be real, be raw, share a story that the listeners can connect with. And I hope that, my story, if you want to write a book, I hope that you run to my website right now and grab that 10-step list, because that's how you're going to sell. You get someone on your email list, and then it's all in the follow-up. So once you have them, I mean, social media, you don't own that. You can get shut down at any time. Your email list is the only thing that you own. And once you have them on your list, then you can build that know, like, and trust factor. And then they'll start, signing up for your courses, buying your products,
Sure.
wanting to work with you, whether it's one-on-one coaching, whatever you do, or masterminds. And so you really want to offer something of value that can help them, that will make them take that extra step to go to your website and download that free gift. And it has to be a gift that's pertaining to the audience. And I will sometimes write an entire blog post, or even create a brand new lead magnet for a very specific targeted topic or audience, because I want them to, if they're listening, that's what they want to know about. How to grow their email list. And I actually do have a free guide, also one of my freebies, on how to use emails to, make money online. And it's a free guide that tells you exactly what type of lead magnet to create, and how to create the perfect lead magnet to start building your email list. So you want to offer something that your listeners desire.
Right.
And so that's how you do it. And then you just, and then you have to email them, obviously, your offers, and, know how to write emails too. Right.
A copywriting. Okay. So,
or hire a copywriter. Back to copywriting.
Copywriter. Yeah.
Right.
So, okay. On that note, then, what do you got for my listeners? Where can they find out more? Where can they download all of your stuff?
My website is irenegabelnick.com, IreneGabelnick. You can just Google it, irenegabelnick.com. And like I said, I have a free guide, 10 easy steps to start writing your book today.
Mm-hmm.
And if you get on my email list, you'll get all my notifications about Podcast Power and how you can get that book. And I also, make money online. I have how to use emails, and it's for beginners, whether you're a pro or whether you're a beginner. A little refresher on creating the perfect lead magnet. I mean, it's really perfect for anyone, regardless of where you are in your journey.
Well, Irene, I want to thank you for taking the time to be here and sharing your story and your strategies with us. I really appreciate it and enjoyed our conversation.
Derek, it was so much fun. I had no idea I was going to get to show off my prized possession, my Boron Letters book.
I know, and
I saw that opportunity. I was like, oh,
awesome! I've totally got I've got envy there. Like that's awesome. Yeah. Mine still has a cover. It's not nearly as good. That's awesome.
Very cool. And signed by Bond. So that's pretty cool.
That's amazing. Well, awesome. Well, thank you so much for being here, and hopefully we get to do this again in the future.
Awesome. Thanks, Derek. Take care.
All right, everybody. Now, before we wrap things up, keep in mind the URL that we mentioned there will be posted in the show notes at projectignite.com. And as you guys know, the only way this stuff works is if you use it. So here's your challenge. Here is your challenge. Go get booked on a podcast. How? If you're looking for podcasts, go sign up at the Matchmaker FM or any of those podcast shows where people are looking for guests. Write up your pitch. Utilize what Irene talked about in terms of what specifically are you going to bring as value? What are you going to teach their audience? And build your credibility, share some things you've done. And I guarantee you're going to be shocked at how quickly you start getting booked. First one's the hardest. After that, it's going to start to flow. And make sure that you have some sort of giveaway that you can share that will bring value to that audience. And voila, you'll be growing your email list. So now it's up to you to take action. And as always, if you like what you've heard on this episode, please leave me a rating, leave me a review on wherever you happen to get your podcasts. And on that note, this episode is a wrap, and we'll see you guys again real soon. Bye for now.
Thanks for listening to another info-packed episode of the Project Ignite podcast with Derek Gale.
Any links mentioned, along with an entire transcript of this episode, can be found at projectignite.com/podcast.
And to make sure you never miss another episode, go to iTunes or SoundCloud now and subscribe.